This is the episode number 14 of Shopify Kryptonite with Teemu and Mikko. We're going to be talking about payments and the payment gateway and checkout in Shopify today. But before we go into the actual topic, Mikko, welcome, and please, what's going to be the tip of the week for week 14?
Super happy to be here. Also very glad to see you. The tip of the week, that's actually a good one. Shopify has sort of like changed many things here in their analytics lately. There are things that you are able to see when you go to a single customer and open the whole page. And this is something that I now recommend every single merchant to check and have a look. What kind of data you have from one existing customer. That will be interesting, and for those Plus users, you might have very nice surprises that have happened there lately, so that you can actually track down what's going on with this single client. Especially if you are a bigger merchant, then you usually look at the mass. What's my weekly sales? What's my rolling 14 days, 7 days? You are looking at the great mass, but at times it's very convenient to look at one specific order. What's going on with that person? What has that person done? Where did that come from? And how has the purchase behavior evolved? So my strong recommendation is there.
Thank you. I actually already have followed your advice, and I've been looking at the individual orders quite a lot lately, with the sales kind of going up and down, just to have some kind of overall feeling that what's happening and from which traffic sources the customers are actually doing the purchases. And it's interesting. That's not giving the all information, but that's something that's kind of keeping you always at the how should I put it, at the daily speed, that you're actually on top of things and not relying only on the big masses.
Definitely.
About the payments and Shopify's checkout, I think this is one of those topics this is part where Shopify's competitors are attacking against Shopify. So Mikko, this is going to be a honest question, and we're hoping for an honest answer.
Yep.
How do you absolutely feel about Shopify's checkout? Are there downsides, or is it already good enough?
This is one of my favorites, forever being evergreen and a fierce competition that Shopify is doing all wrong. It should be a single page checkout, and what are they missing and why are they doing it like this? And first of all, I would like to point out that the adding a payment method on Shopify and the actual paying process by default is excellent. It's better than on many of the competitors or other platforms. That's safe, that's easy to use on all devices, and when you link that to a payment provider, that's very smooth, and that's by default very similar in all Shopify stores. And I feel that hasn't gotten enough of the good feedback. Then definitely when talking about the whole checkout process, when you add to cart, you go inside the cart, you start the checkout. I do agree that the process hasn't been streamlined as it should be. Shopify Plus users have the benefit to sort of modify the process a bit, not quite as much as they would like, and that's been one of the topics where merchants have been sending very fierce feedback to Shopify, and they have responded very well. They are developing that further, but they understand that when you change something in the checkout, that will actually cause many things to change. So that's been one of the old fortress in that bit old or old school architecture. However, from a client's perspective, that's pretty good. That's not excellent, but it's pretty good. In most cases, it's good enough. And now when you're able as a Plus merchant to modify the checkout and the visual side of that, and now the biggest merchants have been more happy. But what about you, Teemu? How do you think about the whole topic?
I think I would agree mostly on the things that you mentioned. I don't think that it isn't always about the speed, especially when we are selling more expensive goods where the customer is in kind of any case doing some consideration in their heads all the way until the part where they click the last OK and confirm the purchase or the payment. So there are kind of many things. The things that I would kind of want to see more would be those upselling and kind of offer and campaign options where when the customer has added something to their cart and they start the checkout process, meaning that they're going to start putting in their address information and then see the shipping options. That would be probably something that I would, if it would be open as a merchant, I think that would be a place where I would love to do some upselling or do some last minute campaigning or make sure that the customer has seen the promotions we have in the shop. I think the fear of missing out would be that the customer has seen a good ad, a dynamic product feed or something, and they've just visited the few product pages and they've missed the main campaign we have running in the shop, which is minus 50% of a backpack or whatever. So that's one. But I'm really happy about the number of payment providers that you can connect to Shopify and how easy it is. Because we've seen the cases, well, part of our team has seen the cases in their previous lives where you needed to integrate a payment provider in an e-commerce platform. So we were talking about 100,000 euros and 3 months of coding to actually have a credit card provider or some other actually working with your platform. So I think the absolute upside with Shopify is that everything is standardized. There's more than 1 million shops with Shopify already, which means that a lot of customers in e-commerce are seeing the Shopify checkout, which is kind of, they're getting more and more used to the fact that I'm adding the products to my cart, I'm putting in my address information, and then picking the shipping option and then paying. It's really
Right.
logical. It's kind of making sense all the time. And then if the merchant has been clever enough, they're gonna show at least 2 or 3 different payment options for the customer, so they can pick the one that they want to pay with. It can be from Klarna to Stripe or to a local payment provider, and then Shopify has been active. And I think I'm gonna switch the table around and shoot this one for you. What do you think about the Shopify Pay, where if you use the Shopify Pay option, and then your information will be saved? Is it going to be a big thing with Shopify's checkout in the future?
That would be a huge thing. So I feel that will sort of like change the game finally.
Yeah.
And I have to point out that that's actually something that you can already do with some of those express checkout options. So as example, I will give an actual example. I ordered a gift to US last week. I used a Shopify store with Apple Pay. After I had added the item to the cart, I had used that same payment method before. I did that checkout in less than 30 seconds without adding anything to the field after I had just added the item I wished to the cart. Just as easy as that. So it doesn't get much more easy. And then I was following the order from my shop app, which is a great way to track the order. So felt super easy. And then I also want to point out the fact that I've been like discussing this this wild west of all local payments provider in Europe, and this is messy. If you look this from like US point of view, they're like, what's wrong with countries such as Finland, Netherlands, and Germany? So it's like I completely understand that, and I also feel that that will be changing shortly. Maybe I would say like estimate that upcoming 3 or 5 years, it has to be like more unified. Now it's like a wild west. Every single country has their own local payment methods and habits. And I don't quite get that. I understand that it's a good market for also those payment providers, that they want to have a great market share there. But I feel that the most important thing is the convenience for a customer. They want to use a system that works not in just in their own country, that works in the internet. So you are purchasing services and goods online from various countries and markets in the future, even more than now. So it should be as unified as possible.
Agree. I think the list is roughly like 200 payment providers in Europe that you can choose
and counting.
And counting, yeah. So agree. You mentioned the Plus merchants and their option to actually modify the checkout. In your professional experience, what would be the pieces of the checkout as a Plus merchant where you would be actually doing some coding and changing?
Right. So the easiest way probably is to do some changes to the layout. Many of the merchants want to make sure that that actually looks that isn't a separate checkout, but it has the same kind of theme or color, logo, stuff like that. So they are mainly modifying the visual side, adding some fonts they use in the store, so that it feels like a unified process from the first front page visit until that thank you message. And I completely understand that. And then there are some direct-to-consumer merchants who have removed some of the fields that they don't require. But then I want always to hesitate that you saw the data you collect from Shopify's checkout. The majority of that is useful. And I understand that every like single feeds will suck time, and that might decrease the conversion. However, from merchant's perspective, all of that data can be useful in the future. I don't know any merchant who wouldn't love to have more data. So there is sort of like a class that am I getting more data, or am I making this checkout more convenient and faster? So for the time being, especially if you're selling physical goods, you don't need lots of data. The difference then is that if I'm not selling physical goods, then I might be good enough with the person name, email address, or a phone number. Then you can like get rid of some fields in there, in theory at least. And I've seen some cases where they have done some modifications. But my recommendation as a default, use that default system. If you need to do modifications, concentrate on the layout and the visual side, and then have an experienced partner who has done these more hardcore modifications in the checkout to discuss further that can I even get rid of some fields, or then the other way around, can I add some fields to the checkout?
Perfect. We're going to be running out of time. I think we both of us need to jump into actual customer meetings, but if we do a quick summary, so can we say that Shopify's checkout and the payment options, they are easily good enough at the moment? There are no major downsides, and we're kind of looking to see at least small improvements in the near future.
Definitely. It's not an option to avoid Shopify that the checkout flow isn't good enough, or there isn't support for payment methods. It's working fairly well. Of course, looking for future adjustments.
Perfect. Thank you for watching a quick 15 minutes of Shopify payments and the gateway and the checkout with Shopify Kryptonite. This was episode number 14, and we're going to see you in We Go 2 with episode number 15. Have a nice week.
Boom. It's a time to make more money. Take care.